So, what if I told you that the very act of growing our food could also heal our planet? That's the really powerful idea behind regenerative agriculture. It's a movement that sees farming not just as a way to get food on our plates, but as a potential solution to some of our biggest environmental challenges. Let's dig in.
At its heart, the whole concept is actually pretty simple. It's a way of farming that gives back more than it takes. So instead of draining resources like soil and water, it actively works to rebuild them, creating a healthier, more resilient ecosystem from the ground up.
But, to really get why this shift is so critical, we have to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. The very foundation of our food system, it's in trouble. Climate change is putting a ton of pressure on our ability to grow food. And a huge part of that problem is right there, just beneath our feet, in the soil itself.
You see, for decades, a lot of conventional farming has been all about maximizing crop yield, getting as much as possible out of the land. And that makes sense, right? But it's often come at a really steep price, leading to widespread erosion, a loss of vital nutrients, and basically just tired, degraded land. And this is exactly where regenerative agriculture comes in. It represents a fundamental shift in thinking. We're talking about a move away from fighting against nature to working with it, to heal the damage that's been done, and to build a much more sustainable future. So what does this actually look like? Well, it's a whole system with some seriously ambitious goals. We're not just talking about sustaining what we have, but actively rehabilitating the entire farm ecosystem. The aim is to boost biodiversity, fix the natural water cycle, and, okay, this is the big one, pull carbon out of the atmosphere and lock it back down in the soil where it belongs. I love this quote from farmer Nacho Simón Zamora. Soil fertility is not bought, it's built. It just perfectly captures the whole philosophy. You can't just pour fertility out of a bag. It's something that you have to build, you have to nurture, and invest in over time. It's a living system, not some industrial implant. Okay, so if we have to build this fertility, how do we actually do it? Well, the whole system is based on 3 core pillars. Some people call them the 3 M's. And understanding these is really the key to getting how regenerative agriculture works. Now check this out. This chart shows what healthy soil is actually made of. As you can see, it's mostly minerals, water, and air. But look at that tiny little sliver over there, organic matter. It's only about 0.5% to 5%, but that small piece, that's the engine that drives the entire system. It's everything. So, the first pillar is minerals. I mean, all soil starts as rock, right? It just breaks down over thousands and thousands of years. This mineral part is the fundamental building block. Regenerative farmers will often add finely ground rock dust back into the soil to remineralize it, giving a slow, steady release of all those trace elements that plants need to really thrive. But here's the crucial point. Plants can't just suck these minerals up directly from the rock dust. The minerals have to be unlocked. And the key to that whole process brings us right to our second pillar. And that key is microorganisms. This is the living, breathing heart of the soil. Just try to wrap your head around this for a second. A single gram of healthy soil has billions of organisms in it. That's more than the entire human population of Earth. This invisible army is what actually unlocks those minerals and makes them available for plants. Now, this diagram is in Spanish, but it shows something absolutely brilliant. What you're looking at are bacteria living on the roots of a legume plant. They're literally pulling nitrogen, a supercritical nutrient, directly out of the air and turning it into a form the plant can use. This is a job we often use synthetic fertilizers for, but in a healthy system, nature does it for free. So we have minerals, and we have the microorganisms to process them, but what do those microorganisms eat? Well, that's our third and final pillar. Organic matter. Think of it as the living sponge of the soil. It's made of all the decaying leaves, roots, and other life. It provides food for the microbes, holds an incredible amount of water, and gives the soil its beautiful, crumbly structure. A really simple way to build this organic matter is by mulching, or just covering the soil. It's exactly what a forest floor does with fallen leaves, right? This protects the soil from the harsh sun, keeps weeds down, and slowly breaks down, feeding that whole crucial underground ecosystem. Okay, so with those 3 pillars, minerals, microorganisms, and organic matter, in mind, let's take a look at some of the actual techniques farmers are using to put these principles into practice. This side-by-side comparison is just fascinating. On the left, you've got a typical raised bed, but on the right, that's an agroforestry bed. Notice how it's designed to build organic material like old logs right into the bed itself.
That acts like a slow-release sponge, holding moisture and providing nutrients for years and years as it decomposes. It's a completely different way of thinking about how to build a garden bed. And that's just one technique in a whole toolbox. Farmers also use practices like no-till farming to keep the soil's delicate structure intact. They plant cover crops so the ground is never left bare, and they integrate animals to mimic natural grazing patterns. It's not about one single trick. It's about orchestrating a whole complex living system. Now, as promising and exciting as all of this sounds, it's not a magic bullet. Shifting to a regenerative model comes with both incredible benefits and some very real challenges. The benefits are huge. You get healthier soil that's way more resilient to drought and floods, you lower your costs over time, and you can even get into premium markets. But the hurdles are just as real. This isn't an overnight switch. It requires new knowledge, it can have high costs to get started, and rebuilding an entire ecosystem, well, that takes time. But despite those challenges, farmers all over the world are proving it can be done. So let's take a quick trip around the globe to see some of these amazing success stories in action. Here we are in a really dry region of Spain. This farm, over 500 hectares, was able to switch from conventional methods and completely eliminate chemical inputs in under 2 years. That just shows you that this kind of change can happen remarkably fast. And these stories are just popping up everywhere. In Colombia, deforested land was totally transformed to produce meat, milk, and timber. In Brazil, a huge organic sugarcane producer is actually getting higher yields than conventional systems. And get this, in Argentina, one farm's costs are half of its neighbors while getting pretty much the same yields. These aren't just wins for the environment, they're powerful economic arguments too. So, this brings us all the way back to our opening question. By focusing on building life back into our soil, we're not just growing food more sustainably. We're creating systems that are more resilient, more biodiverse, and capable of actively drawing down carbon from the atmosphere. It really suggests that the future of our planet might just be found, quite literally, right under our feet.